36 years of basketball knowledge and life skills. Your host, Coach Goins, focuses on today's topics on and off the court, helping players and coaches achieve their goals. So get ready for another fast break episode of Basketball More Than a Game with your host, Coach Goins.
Hey, ladies and gentlemen, this is Coach Goins, and for another fast break episode of Basketball More Than a Game. And like we always say, make sure you got your sneakers on, you got them laced up tight. Because we've got another dynamic episode tonight, and what we're going to be talking about, of course, basketball. But before we do, we got to make sure that we pay the bills, and we want to make sure that we give honor where honor is due, and we want to thank Mr. Curtis Jackson, our independent insurance agent, the great state of North Carolina. So please reach out to him for your insurance needs at 919-614-5796. And you know what? Most importantly, thank him for his continued support of basketball more in the game. So listen, you say, Coach, man, are you out on the court yourself? No, I can't be out on the hardwood by myself. It's March, and it's almost March Madness. So I had to reach out and dust off my number one co-host this side of heaven, none other than Coach Mike Quick. Quick schedule. He's been in and out, and so have I. So tonight we're hooking up right in the middle of the ACC Tournament. No better way. So I'm going to kick it over to Coach Quick for his recap thus far of the ACC Tournament. Coach Quick.
Yes, sir. Glad to be here, Coach Goins. I tell you, last night's games in second round action were outstanding. When you look at what Mike Bray and his Notre Dame Fighting Irish did last night, coming back from 21 points down to knock off the Virginia Tech Hokies. What a ball game last night. I tell you what, Mike Bray, his best two players have missed time this year with some key injuries, so they're sort of on the NCAA tournament bubble. But I tell you what, I just don't understand how you can have an NCAA tournament without having the Notre Dame Fighting Irish in. Bonzie Colson, who missed 15 ACC games this year with a foot injury. Matt Farrell missed a few games as well, but they're back rocking and rolling now. Mike Bray has got them playing with their hearts on their sleeves, and they're looking to make a tournament run. And then this nightcap action, you know, the Tar Heels. Everybody talked about going into the tournament, our defense is suspect. Well, it's been that way the last 3 years. But ladies and gentlemen, as you've seen last night, the Tar Heels defense were their calling card. They held the Syracuse Orange to 59 points, and they chopped up that 2-3 zone as well. So Roy Williams has got his guys playing their best basketball at the right time of the year.
You know what? And also, folks, don't forget, he is talking about the defending national championships and national champions. But you know what, Mike? And I know you know this, and we just want to make sure that we calling this out to our audience. What's so great about tournaments is just like you said. I mean, think about it. You're 21 points down. And actually, I was watching the game, and I came up and had to start working on some stuff for the show for the weekend. Then my wife said, "Hey, you better turn on the television." When I turned it on, next thing I know, Notre Dame's winning. I almost fell out of the chair because I was like, what happened? And I know I saw some dialogue earlier. Coach Quick and Coach Mike Apple, that the head coach of the Sand Hills Flyers, were in dialogue and giving credit where credit's due. And that's the Mike Bray. Hats off to him. What a great job he continues to do. And that's the thing a lot of times people don't realize is just how dynamic these coaches are. But also, we do want to, toss this out to all of the, to Carolina Nation, I'm going to call it, in the loss of none other than Mr. Woody Durham. And we definitely want to send out our condolences to all of the Carolina faithful, through the years. There was nothing like Woody Durham and the Tar Heel Network when you turned on Carolina basketball, and to hear him. And I know he's called, so many Final Four, so many championship games. And I know the team honored him last night by coming out with the shirts and had Woody in the back. So, Mike, you got any comments on that? I'll toss it to you.
Yes, sir. The legendary Woody Durham. Growing up as a child, when I always didn't have cable television to be able to check out a Carolina game, I just turned on the radio, and that voice, the legendary voice of the great Woody Durham, and his saying, "Go wherever you go and do what you do." I tell you, he's definitely going to be missed. My heart and prayers go out to his family. May you rest in peace.
You know, and that's such a thing. I mean, think about what the coach just framed out. He said when he didn't have cable TV, we had to listen to Woody Durham via the radio, and that's so important. A lot of times, young guys think that everybody grows up and everybody has cable TV, but I beg to differ. We grew up in a time that you huddled around that radio just like folks did back in the day, listening to Joe Frazier, Muhammad Ali, or even going back either further, Joe Louis. But listen, again, condolences to Woody Durham, and then just thank you for excellent job for anybody that ever sat behind the mic. So we definitely want to give honor where honor's due. So listen, quick, coming into tonight's game, we know again, just like you told me prior to the show, that everybody's intact. UVA is intact, and also Clemson took care of business on tonight. And of course, my Blue Devils has got to go up against Bonzie Colson and the Notre Dame Fighting Irish. So, give me a little recap or a little your perspective going into that game tonight.
Hey, I tell you what, I think it's going to be an outstanding ball game. First and foremost, it's the rematch of last year's championship game. I know Bonzie Colson and those guys are going to be ready. Mike Brady always have them prepared, but heck, he learned from the best. Mike Krzyzewski, he was a Mike Krzyzewski assistant for a lot of years on that Duke bench, and Mike Krzyzewski's going to have his guys ready to go. He's getting them primed and ready for March Madness. So I say lace them up tight. Let's get ready for a great quarterfinal matchup between the Notre Dame Fighting Irish and the Duke Blue Devils.
All right, so now the nightcap. We'll probably be tipping about 9:30, as Coach has alluded to earlier. You guys are rolling in. I tell you what, I want to kind of dissect them Carolina Tar Heels, and I know you don't mind us talking about them. So your man on the wing. People, I think a lot of people are underestimating Williams. His first name is kind of Kenny Williams. You know what? The kid can shoot it. And what he's got to be able to do, in my opinion, he can't lay back on his jump shot. He just has to go up and stick that shot. And I thought, he's had a tremendous year. And then the other kid that transferred in, I think he shoots a little bit deeper. But I really like what Roy did. I think when the last time they played Syracuse, he put Williams and Joe Barry on the same side of the zone. And again, as a coach, I'm sitting there watching the game, but folks, I tell you, I do more than just watch the game. I take a hard look at the game, because when a coach does things like that, which is cutting edge, because you think about it, most time you always want to balance your shooters, but Roy put both guys on the same size, what makes the zone harder to close out on, because you got two great shooters on that great side. So, all right, quick, I'm going to toss this out to you, man. So I know, here you got, think about it, you are living the dream. How many people can say in the last 15 years that their team has been in back-to-back national championships?
Not very many.
So,
I tell you what, it's like this right here. You got to have a little bit of luck on your side, and you got to be playing your best basketball going into the tournament. And Roy Williams, he's always got his guys prepared. No matter what you may say about him, not calling timeouts or whatever, Roy Williams has been the best coach in March over the last 15 years, bar none.
All right, you know what? And that's I told my brother that when I was in North Carolina the weekend, and I'll talk about that here in a second. But and that's the only gripe that I always have with Roy is what Coach Williams is. Can't call him Roy like I know him, like he's one of my homeboys. But in that, that's the only thing that I've always had to hang up is there's times that I think he just needs to call a timeout and he tries to play through it. And that's just philosophy. That's what he likes to do. But, he's the head coach of the Tar Heels, and I'm the guy with the podcast. So we'll call it even on a given night. But no, he has done. Mike is, he's eloquently put that. And he's exactly right. Over the last, 15 years, you think about it, he's and again, not just that. Even when the last, let's just say 3 or 4 years, with the cloud over the program, with the whole academic scandal, he's been able to take. I'm going to call them not necessarily underachievers, but not top 10 guys, maybe not top 100 guys, and be able to cut down those nets in Phoenix, and the year before that to be right there in Houston and only lose by a bucket, and which is a huge accomplishment when he's playing with guys that's been in the system, and that's what college basketball is about. And these guys one and done, I understand that, but when you look at Joe Barry, you look at Theo Pinson, those guys, and I just enjoy watching them play. because they do a great job. And I'm be honest with you, I like Williams, but and the more and more I watch the Hills play, Joe Barry's important. But I'm telling you what, that Pinson man, he is their Draymond Green. I really honestly, and I think he may bring a little bit more to the table than Draymond.
I back you up 100% on that, Coach Goins. Theo Pinson, Carolina goes as far as he goes. If he continues to play well, I'll say this right now, and you can book it. The North Carolina Tar Heels will be in San Antonio at the Final Four.
Listen, Adam, now go ahead, man. Go ahead and talk about your team.
And Roy Williams, he said it last week at his press conference. The class of Theo Pinson, Joel Berry, and Justin Jackson was the most important class at the University of North Carolina in the last 50 years. These guys came along when, we were being negatively recruited against by other universities during the academic scandal. But those guys, they trusted Coach Williams and his staff. They believed in him, and you know what? He believed in those guys as well. And it ultimately led to 2 straight Final Fours, almost winning back-to-back titles. I can't say enough about this class, especially Theo and Joel, as they stuck it out for 4 years.
You know what? And here's the thing. Those are the guys that you're going to miss. Why are you going to miss them? Because, like you said, they've been there 4 years, and it seems like like they've grown up together, and as part of us as well. Because when they got there, ultimately we were 4 years younger than we are today. But it's just the memories, the things that a lot of times that you look back on, just like I did when I watched the Duke Carolina game Saturday. Grayson Allen was a senior, and of course, they came back, it was almost a tale of two cities. For Carolina to come out and it was up 10 at halftime, and then when they came out the second half, a little flat, and Duke came out on top. But the point I'm making here is that when Grayson Allen, it was over, he was able to stop, kind of go through the crowd, and then I saw Marvin Bagley III come up and give him a hug. And that may be something, again, we know that he's probably going to be gone, but those are things as freshmen that they can't understand, and they don't realize what that means to be a senior. They'll never get that jersey, and they'll never come out and have that opportunity to address the crowd as a senior, in whatever, and I'm just not calling out Cameron. I'm calling out the Dean Dome, just like Joe Barry did, as well as Theo Pinson. It's so important to be able to come out on senior night. And I know, and when I say that, I think about quick when you were senior, the opportunity to dress out and play, your last game on the campus of Union Pines High School. And those are times that a lot of players and a lot of these one and dones don't have the opportunity to really relish or really be able to look back and say, what a great time we had at Chapel Hill, or what a great time we had just playing the game of basketball. Number one, because I'm a senior, which is so important. Hey, but listen, before we go any further, I just want to give a shout out. We had unfortunately had a death in our family this week, and had to actually travel to North Carolina. But I want to dedicate this show in honor of my uncle, and that is Mr. Felton Capel. Uncle Felt allowed me as a sophomore to be on the radio with him doing play-by-play basketball, football, and baseball at Pinecrest High School. He was the voice of the Patriots, not just sports. What he did for the state of North Carolina, what he did for a race of people, his leadership, his guidance, what he's done for creating scholarships at Fayetteville State University, there where they have named the arena after him. But he lived a great life, turned 91 Monday, went to be with the Lord on Tuesday. But I just want to thank him so much for allowing me to be a part of something special. He was a role model. I remember as a young kid in church, he would stand up and he would speak, and he was just so eloquent with his words. And I remember used to telling my mom as a young kid, I said, when I get older, I want to be able to speak in public like Uncle Felton does, and to be able to see that, and given the opportunity to be with him in the booth and work side by side. And again, like I said, I was a sophomore in high school, and now fast forward it, almost 35 years later, to have a national and international podcast with one of my former players that's on right now. That's what it's all about, is paving the way for allowing people to really bring to their forefront what is a natural gift and natural ability. So that's why this show is important. That's why this show can't be success without players like Coach Quick that's on the call talking about the thing that he loves so much, and that's the game of basketball. So to Uncle Felton and to the Capel family and the entire Capel family, we send our love and our gratitude, and most importantly, we just thank you for everything that you put your heart and hands to. So with that, Mike, we want to go ahead and get on down into the nitty-gritty of tonight's contest, and give me your predictions for tonight's test. And I know you got the heels on top, but tell me the secrets of for tonight's game.
Number one, we just got to come out and play defense just like we did last night. Don't get over anxious. Don't be too hyped and too angry, because Miami spoiled Theo and Joel's senior night. But you got to come out and just play your game, play the right way, do what Coach says, and if you do that, at the end of the night, we have a shot to win this thing. So
all right, so that's Carolina and Miami tonight is the nightcap. Then you've got Notre Dame and Duke's playing at 7. And then you had Clemson knockoff. So tomorrow it is?
It'll be Virginia versus Clemson on tomorrow in the semis. And the winners of tonight's game will take on each other in the other semifinals.
Wow. So the semifinals could be Duke, Carolina 3 times in 1 year. And then the winner will move on, more likely will play the Cavaliers from the University of Virginia, just slightly down the road from here, less than 30 minutes, and you're in Charlottesville from where the studio is here in Virginia. But listen, we're going to continue to keep right on rocking and rolling with the game of basketball. But before we do, I just want to give a shout out. You know what, Mike? And number one, the show can't be successful without guys like you, and I certainly appreciate your time and your talent and what you bring to our listening audience. But I was telling Mike before we came on the air, we're just so excited. We're just so blessed. We've just moved into another country, which is France. We're still just so excited, and being in Japan, New Zealand, Australia, and you know what? We're 18 foreign countries now, and we just continue to rock and roll. And I'm just so grateful for, guys, just like I said, that's been on the show, that continue to make this show great. We celebrated our 50th podcast, and we had none other than number 50, NBA Hall of Famer Mr. Ralph Sampson on, and so grateful to have the opportunity to be on his show, Out of Bounds, which we just went into the Tidewater market 2 weeks ago. So we're actually in two markets now, one here in Shenandoah Valley, and now also we're going into the Tidewater area, Norfolk, Hampton, all over there in the Hampton Roads area. So that's Saturday morning. And I'll be able to send that link out. So if you want to check out a great show, we had none other than D. Brown from the Boston Celtics, and also Brent Berry, 2 former NBA slam dunk contests, right, coming off of the All-Star game. But just wanted to toss that out, and we just certainly appreciate everybody as they continue to follow us on iTunes, Stitcher, SoundCloud, all as well as Lionfish Entertainment out of Los Angeles, California, YouTube page, Facebook. Just continue to follow us. All right, Mike. So I'm going to kick it on over to you. So go ahead. So go ahead and give me your final. I'm not going to be upset because I know them. I know you got the Heels and who?
I got the Heels and the Cavaliers in the finals of the tournament on Sunday.
Oh.
I didn't give a prediction for Duke and Notre Dame, but let me go back and do that as well.
Okay, I'm sorry.
I'm actually going to go with the Fighting Irish tonight because they're playing for the NCAA Tournament Lives.
All right, so I thought I might have had a little technical difficulty there, but he did say Notre Dame over the Blue Devils. But you know what? That's what's so great about this show, and that's what it's all about. Is you got to pull for your team, and you got to understand why we do what we do. All right, so let's fast. All right, so now you know what? By the time this thing airs, it's going to be, the brackets are going to be set. So I kind of want to segue right on into the big thing about those brackets. So who are the number one seed? Do we both agree Virginia be a number one seed?
Yes, sir.
All right. Who's the next one number one seed?
Villanova.
All right. So I'm good with that. Who's your third number one seed?
The Kansas Jayhawks.
And your fourth?
If for some reason Duke does win the ACC tournament, I'll go with Duke. But if not, Xavier is the number one seed.
Okay, so I thought you might have gave Michigan State the nod.
No, they lost their Big Ten tournament. I can't give it to them.
All right, so it possibly Xavier. Now, let me ask you this: do you think the selection committee should break up the ACC and make sure that these guys are not, so you don't end up with a Carolina and a Duke possibly, or Carolina and Virginia playing before the Elite Eight?
No, I think you keep them together. The best play the best. That's a valuable lesson you taught me yesterday in another conversation. I just think, the best should play the best. However, it would be great to see a Duke-Carolina final in San Antonio.
And that's the thing. I would love to be able, and somebody says, they don't want to go out west. And you know what? I'd love to see the ACC schools. I'm going to call them out. You put Carolina, you put Duke, and you put Virginia all in different regions, and let them possibly meet in the Final Four. And then you could possibly think about if you had Virginia, Duke, Carolina, and let's just throw Xavier in there for the Final Four. Man, wow. You know what? I think it'd be a stampede in San Antonio. People be like, what? You got to get down there and check. I mean, can you imagine that being the Final Four, is being able to be there? And again, I've had the opportunity to be at the Final Four the last 2 years, and I'm here to tell you what a great treat to be able to not only be there, but just to be in the building and be able to see how all of that comes together and how those young men play in the atmosphere. I couldn't imagine playing. I mean, just being there as a fan, taking it all in. And when I was in Phoenix last year, I talked to Mike before the game, and I think I also talked to him at halftime. And in that last part of that conversation at halftime, so next time I talk to you, Coach, he said, we will be national champions. And there was nothing like when that thing, I mean, of course, I'm not a big Carolina fan, but when they won that thing, I mean, and that's the thing with like Virginia. I'm not a big Virginia fan, but one of my good friends is probably the best player that ever played at Virginia. And those are the things that your heart goes out to. You want people to experience when your team does good. Carolina's won the national championship. Virginia's never won the national championship. Virginia's played in the Final Four, but they've never won a national championship. And that's where, you kind of, and again, if my guys get knocked out, I'm really going to be pulling for, special teams. And again, some people, I don't want ACC teams to win. It's still great. It just shows you who's the best conference in college basketball. What I think is important. So with that, you got the heel. So give me, all right. You know what? I got to go ahead and drop this on you. Go ahead and give me that Final Four.
My Final Four as of today, I'm going with the North Carolina Tar Heels, Michigan State Spartans, the Kansas Jayhawks, and the Villanova Wildcats.
Wow, boy, he's top heavy. So he has no sleeper, but that's okay. You heard that from Coach Quick. So his bracket is set, and selection Sunday. We'll see how that all pairs out. But you know what? And that's where a lot of people don't. I guess that's what makes us, and that's why we have a show. And some people talk about it, and they don't have a show. So while we have a show, we can talk about it. But bottom line to it is, when you really look at it, it's hard for teams that's never been there to play at that level. That's when you've never been, just like you think about Carolina's roster. So you got May, you got Pinson, and you got Joe Barry. They've been there. They've played. Matter of fact, in the last 2 national championships. So that's what's key. Is so when they look at that, and the average team is, oh man, how does that? Duke got you got Grayson Allen that did it when he was a freshman. And then he looks back on it, and now he takes a band of freshmen with him, and then he goes, all right, guys, this is what you're going to expect. You can tell somebody that, but if they've never laced it up and got on that hardwood, it's hard for them to figure out what that looks like. But your guys have been there the last 2 years, and that's important. And I think that when you line it out and you've been there the last 2 years and you have an opportunity to go back, and here we go, and I'm getting ready to jump on this bandwagon. It's all about your guard play. When you got solid guards like Joe Barry, and I'm going to call Williams out, and Pinson, they can make things happen. They think about they're winning without really a legitimate big man. They really are. I mean, they're big men. They come in and kind of give them a little bit, but they're not. They're not going in the paint, relying on their bigs like Duke. And I understand Duke has the best big men, but guard play when it comes to NCAA is so important. You've got to be able to get out there, run the show, take care of business, and we saw that. And I think Joe Barry, I think it's time for him. If they get by tonight, which I don't think they'll have any problem, but if they get by tonight, it's time for them to go ahead and kick it into gear. Because I would honestly, I would love to see Carolina back in the Final Four again. I mean, because it just shows the credibility and it shows the magnitude of staying in school 4 years.
Yes, sir.
You know, that's huge. All right, so listen, we're going to go ahead and kick it over. Let's talk a little bit about we can't get on here and not talk about LeBron, because I saw you post something last night talking about just how great of I think that down the stretch last night, the dude was incredible, right?
Yes, he was.
He just went out there and showed it. So I'll go ahead and toss it over to you on this kick us off.
Yes, sir. I think just watching the fourth quarter of the Denver-Cleveland game last night, it was just amazing. LeBron just put on a show down the stretch. Everything he threw up was going in, and as I said in my post, like it or not, right now in today's game, presently, LeBron James, pound for pound, is the best basketball player on the planet. I know there are a lot of younger guys that's coming along, the KDs of the world, the Anthony Davises, James Harden, but as of right now, LeBron James is still the best basketball player on the planet. And, I had one of my cousins tell me, say, man, he was playing Denver. I don't care if he was playing Union Pines High School or the German national team. That dude, pound for pound, is the best basketball player on the planet.
I like that. I love that, man. When somebody doesn't realize, and I'm not trying to throw anybody under the bus, but he said, man, they were playing them. I'm like, I don't care if they were playing Bridgewater, which is Division III school right up the street from here. But you're exactly right. I mean, and that's the thing. But you know what, Coach? That's why you're you. That's why you understand you can appreciate a player's caliber and what they bring to the table each and every night. And that's what it's all about. It's not about, well, he's this and he's, pound for pound. And I'm a Kobe guy. Down the stretch, and somebody said the game's on the line, who you want to have the ball? I'm just going to look at you and say, are you out of your mouth? Really? I want Kobe Bryant to be the one. But, it is, we think about it, we've been really, really fortunate. And to be able to see players like Julius Erving, Magic Johnson, Larry Bird, Jordan, LeBron, Kobe Bryant. That's just, and I know some of the older guys, they'll say that, they got to see Wilt Chamberlain, and I understand that. And I'm not taking anything from the guy, the Bill Russells of the world. But when you look at the caliber of guys and just in my lifetime, Dr. J was on the way, he was on the way out on his career, but you look back on it, man, it's just from LeBron to Kobe to Jordan, Karl Malone, Magic, Bird. It has just been incredible just to watch the guys play the game at a high level. And then here's the thing with LeBron, and a lot of people don't realize is the size this guy is. The size he is and the things he does and still doing, and he's not 12 years old. He's on the backside of his career, and we understand that totally. But it's important that you understand that. And I agree with you wholeheartedly. I'm really not a Golden State guy. And again, I like Klay Thompson a lot, but I kind of struggle with Curry and Draymond Green. If he went back to Michigan State tonight, I wouldn't care if he was there or not, but I'm just not a big fan of his. Like I tell anybody, if you want to impress me, you trade him to Phoenix and see what he would do. Because Curry and Thompson, wherever they go, they can be successful. And it's all about, I understand, and I'm not trying to throw him totally on the bus, but I'm just not a Draymond Green fan. But I think your call out for LeBron James is so important, and it's so critical that people understand that, it is a big, big deal. And there's nothing wrong with any of that just because, you know why? It is who he is. Because this year, if he makes it to the finals, it'll be how many in a row?
8 in a row, right? Want to be
8 in a row. So you think about that. You know what? That's a mouthful within itself. When you have 8, you have played in 8 straight NBA championships. You know what? So anybody that doesn't. Well, I don't know. I don't like. Okay, you know what? Here's the problem I have with an individual that says that. Well, you don't respect the game, and I'm gonna call that out. It's our show. We're gonna call it out. I don't like LeBron. You know what? I don't care. You don't. I don't like Golden State, but you respect them. And I'm not talking about the band of characters that make up Golden State, but same thing with LeBron. You may not be a LeBron fan, but you got to respect that, you know what? He is he is the best player on the planet. And I'm just talking about playing, because what can say, Curry can't play defense. He's not going to play defense. He's going to go out there, he's going to razzle-dazzle, he's going to shoot it and do all that stuff. But he's winning. Well, that's because he's got, 2 or 3 other great guys beside him. It's just not the Steph Curry show himself. But if you take LeBron James out of Cleveland, put him in Phoenix would be almost in the finals. So and that's what's so important, and that's what makes great players. So listen, I'm going to kick it over to Coach Quick as we start to wrap this podcast up and get ready for ACC action rolling into tonight. So you know what I'm going to do, Quick? I'm going to go ahead and make this. I'm going to make this decision tonight. What I'm going to do is during this game, I'm going to get this thing up and ready, and we're going to put this podcast and we're going to break it out tonight. And put it on. So actually, not tonight. I'll air it in the morning, because what I don't want to do, I don't want us to talk about this stuff, and then next week when it airs, it's old news. So we're gonna talk. We're gonna get it set up, and when I get off of here, I'll get everything lined out, and we'll be ready to rock and roll, and it'll be up in the morning. So with that, go ahead and give us your closing comments. Anything you want to talk about? Let's talk.
Yes, sir. Well, first and foremost, I just wanted to say I appreciate what you do as far as this show, Basketball More Than the Game. I had the opportunity a week ago to go back and listen to the 50th show with you and Ralph Sampson, and I thoroughly enjoyed the show. All the things that Ralph has going on, tremendous respect for that. But there was a comment that he made about playing in this era, and let me say this: I absolutely concur with that 100%. Ralph Sampson's skill set would allow him to play in this era today and would allow him to be dominant. I had an opportunity to watch him growing up as a young kid, and man, just the things that he did at the University of Virginia, the things that he did in the league, he was truly a special talent. And I just, like I said, I was listening to that show, it was amazing. And Coach Goins, I can't thank you enough for what you're doing with this show, allowing me to be a part of it, and I just truly thank you. And I also like to give a shout out to Coach Mike Apple and the Sand Hills Flyers. I think they're going to Maryland this week to play in the semifinal round or the regional action or something like that. So I just wanted to wish them the best of luck, and just looking forward to March Madness, Coach G.
You know what, and as I always say, iron sharpens iron. The show could not be successful without the support of, and again, everybody that's ever been on the show. But most importantly, when you got guys in your corner like Coach Mike Quick, Ralph Sampson, that constantly, they give me that feedback. They jump on the show. Anytime I need these guys to do a show, I reach out to Coach Quick, and he'll, even some days, when it's been a hard day on the grind, he'll hit me up and say, Coach, I got some stuff, and we're going to jump on, and we're going to make it pop. And just like it was so special, and again, I can't thank Ralph enough to be able to be on my 50th show, but wearing number 50. So when I was lining all that up and hit him up, because he's in Los Angeles, and his schedule allowed him to work it in and be able to stop and jump on my show. And it just, and again, just like you, Mike, you thank me for the opportunity to be on my show. It's the same thing that I do with Ralph when I'm on the opportunity to be on his show on ESPN on Saturday mornings, and that's Out of Bounds. But listen, most importantly, I want everybody to understand it's not about Coach Goins. It's about folks like Coach Quick that study the game, learn the game, and that's why our challenge to you, all you young guys, is just don't be basketball players. I understand the game, you love the game, or you might like the game, but love the game to the point that where you become passionate about, that you want to sit down and you want to watch the game. You want to learn about everybody that's played the game before you, to understand what the evolution of the game. Because when you don't understand the evolution of the game, sometimes you won't value the game at a high level. So listen, as we start to wind this thing down, we just want to thank again our title sponsor, Mr. Curtis Jackson. We also want to thank Act Sports for their continued support. I want to thank none other than the greatest co-host this side of heaven. That's none other than Mr. Michael T. Quick out of the great state of North Carolina, where he just, always willing to jump on and make us rock and roll. And you continue Your continued support, Mike, is oh so grateful, man, and I appreciate you. And definitely tell your lovely wife we ask about her. But most importantly, folks, we want to thank you as you continue to tune us in on iTunes, Stitcher, Podbean, Facebook, and Lionfish Entertainment. You can check us out on my website at coachgoins.podbean.com. And right now, our 18 foreign countries, and we just want to thank everybody for your continued support. Hit us up, like us, subscribe, send us an email, and we'll continue to do what we do on this end. So, and like we always say, I can never get off of this podcast without making sure that we say that make sure you give back, make sure you take care of one another, and do what you're supposed to do each and every day of your life. Until next time, I'm your host, Coach Goins, and I'll see you in the gym.